If you're like me, you often struggle with what leadership style or what kind of approach do I use with a particular teammate or team. I am going to give you several steps, simple steps to follow through on when it comes time to decide what leadership approach you should be using during an incident with a particular team member or team or crew. I'm Daryl Black of Accident. I'm here to help you be a better leader, a better teammate, and ultimately a better responder through the application of the art of leadership and the science of human factors. I have helped facilitate hundreds, if not thousands of sessions just like this one, giving information that is specific to first responders and emergency managers. As a fellow emergency manager, I know the challenges that come from operating in a high-risk environment like ours. So we've got three general leadership styles. We have the directive style, and the directive style is where you give the who, what, when, where, as much detail as you possibly can. That style is applicable or appropriate when you have an inexperienced group or inexperienced individual that you're working with. They just simply don't have the experience or the training to carry out that particular task. As well, directive is good if time is a factor or it's a safety issue. Directive, absolutely, be very, very specific in that direction. That is the directive style. The next one is what we call participatory or participation style of leadership. And it starts with a simple question, which is, hey, what do you think? So the participation style allows you to mentor a team member because you can have a diatribe now or a dialogue of where your head's at and where their head is at. And you can talk about pros and cons and those sorts of things, and they can kind of get into your head and you can instill in them the process by which you go about reaching a decision. It's also good to evaluate a team member, this what do you think, the participation style of leadership, because you can get into their heads a little bit, not in a Dr. Phil psychological creepy way, but in a leadership that's healthy way. And you can really figure out what makes them tick and where they're at in their leadership journey, for example. Now, you wouldn't use it, though, if the person's like very, very inexperienced, because you're really just setting them up for failure. But when you ask, what do you think, be truly, truly, truly open to the input that comes. The third style is delegation. And the delegation style is actually really, really good to use in emergency services because as a leader, I will give the end state or the outcome of what I'm trying to achieve here, and you will just go do it. There's, a lot that goes into that we'll discuss at another time, but delegation is tremendously valuable because it frees me up as the leader to really remove yourself from that tactical operational environment, and you can be a little bit more or a lot more strategic in your view. But delegation isn't really, really good for that brand new member because just like with this participation, you could actually, from an ethical perspective, be setting them up to fail. So making sure that they have the right experience and knowledge. So of those three styles, what do? Do you Ouija board it? Do you Magic 8 Ball or Magic Yoda? Or how are you going to do this? Are we going to, instead of using command boards, we'll do that rolling of the dice? 6, I'll use direct. 4, I'll use participation. And a 2, I'll use delegation. Well, let's hope that that's not how you go about deciding. So next time, and maybe for the next series of calls, pay particular attention to when you're giving a particular direction. So are you being direct? Are you telling somebody the end state? Are you telling them what right looks like? Are you asking, what do you think? That's the first step. All right. Now, if you can't recognize it in yourself, and a lot of times it's kind of a blind spot, totally natural, ask somebody that you trust from your crew or teammate or your second in command or something like that to pay attention. So when you're giving direction, were you being direct? Were you asking, what do you think? Were you delegating by giving the end state? And then ask yourself, once you've determined that, ask yourself or your 2IC or whoever, say, okay, was that appropriate given the crew member's experience and maybe the time associated with that particular task. If it was a safety issue or time was a huge factor, yes, the direct style, for example, works kind of carte blanche, but maybe you were being direct to somebody that has a lot of experience. So just be aware of that. Are you using the right style for the right audience? And remember that there's direct, participating, and delegation, so you can use all three. And in fact, you should be when you're on scene, for example, because every person and every circumstance and every part of that operation requires a different style. And leadership is friggin' hard. I get it. You got all these styles. Well, you know what? You're dealing with the most complex variable on this planet, human beings. Now let's go ahead and throw some stress in there. Saving lives, alleviate human suffering. Yeah, it's a challenge. But nobody said that wearing the stripes was easy. Hopefully that helped you out a bit.